Thank you, Angelique. You remembered what it was that we were supposed to, I said that I would go back and cover on a second trauma video. So it was how to do trauma obliques. Now, I think I mentioned that this probably isn't going to be very common because most spine imaging now, if there really is a suspected fracture, they're going to go to CT. But there may be that occasion when CT's slammed, maybe CT's down. And you're working with a trauma patient and the physician really needs to have oblique views. They really need to see those intervertebral foramina. This is a way to get it on a trauma patient without rolling them into an oblique. And so what you would do, again, the neck diameter is not much bigger around than a knee. We don't necessarily have to use a grid, and in this instance we would not, because we're going to be putting in a double tube angulation. So not only are we coming in 45 degrees rather than having the patient be 45 degrees, we also have to put in a 15 to 20 cephalic angle to open the foramina. So what you're going to do, the patient will most likely be on a slider board. So I would go under the slider board and I would take a 10 by 12 and you'll notice that I'm offset, okay? The patient is centered over half of the IR, but because I'm gonna come in at a 45 degree angle, it's gonna project the cervical spine over to the center of the IR. And so I'm centering pretty much like I normally would. I'm gonna have, and because of that 15 to 20 cephalic angle, I'm also gonna offset the IR upper border. Instead of being at the top of ear attachment, I'm going to move that up slightly too. So right now I'm judging that maybe my 10 by 12 is, the bottom of it is slightly below the jugular notch, and the top of it is about an inch above the top of ear attachment, and then I've offset it this way. So we're gonna do a double tube angulation. First thing we need to do is, I would start out directly parallel to the table, then I would angle 45, and then from there I would go back using purple about 15 degrees. And you're gonna have to estimate that because there's no gauge or digital readout. But once you have that double tube angulation in, then you can center at the level of C4. And so here's C4, and then I'm centering right in the middle of the neck. I'm gonna open up my collimation. This is going to be the equivalent of an LPO, because rather than having her turned LPO and me shooting straight down with a 15 cephalic angle, I'm not moving the patient and I'm putting all of that angulation utilizing my tube. So I would place my, did I just say LPO? I meant RPO. This is my right marker. This is the equivalent of an RPO projection, and because the beam is passing 45 degrees lateral medially and 15 to 20 cephalic, I will in effect open up the intervertebral foramina. So this is how you would do a trauma cervical spine. Now, my central ray is entering here, and just for the sake of showing you where it's gonna exit, I'm gonna raise it up. And you can see that the laser now is more at the center of the IR. So that's why you have to offset it. If I had her centered on the IR, my projection would be on the right half and not centered. Okay, so that is, and then you would obviously, go ahead and do the opposite direction. So that is how you do a trauma oblique.